You're listening to the Mile High Church podcast. On Wednesday, October 29th, we have a special service honoring Dia de los Muertos with Reverend Zamira, as well as Rocio Self, and many special guests. This is an opportunity to honor ancestors in our lives and celebrate a sacred cultural tradition. For more information, go to milehighchurch.org. It's my honor to continue our adventure in faith this morning. Our theme, this moment, making the very best from every right here. And the invitation is to take a leap of faith right where we are. To have a greater faith, not in anything ethereal or abstract or outside of us, but to increase our faith in the value and the power of this moment. To take the leap of faith into standing still and recognizing that in this moment is everything I need to be all that I am. Will you say that again with me? We tried it last week too. In this moment is everything I need to be all that I am. Thank you. In this moment, everything I need to heal, everything I need to deepen and to grow, everything I need to forgive, everything I need to take the next step forward is right here and right now. Last week, we explored the topic of love in this moment, and this morning, we're exploring the idea of trust in this moment. If you listen to my talks, you know I've had a really tough year or so. Loss has been my greatest teacher. Grief has been my greatest teacher. Sorrow has been my greatest teacher. Transformation and change has been my greatest teacher. And getting to be your minister has been God's grace to me. It's kept me accountable. It's kept me transparent and open. It's kept my faith in working towards something working better for myself and for everyone all around me. So thank you for that. And one of the things I've noticed going through this time, it's probably always been there, but it's been magnified, is what can sometimes be an everyday lack of trust in my own capabilities. An everyday lack of trust in myself. Maybe you relate. I would articulate it in the form of the following question. Why do I so infrequently think I am capable of what I am about to do? Why do I so infrequently think I am capable of what I'm about to do? Do you resonate with that at all? Yes. Sure, there are things I want to be prepared for, like a presentation to you or teaching a class, but it's a little neurotic too. It's like I'm worried that I'm going to remember to call Susan or not. Or I'm worried that I'm going to get a good rest. Why do I so infrequently think I am capable of doing what I'm about to do? So I took it to that person in which I get the majority of my advice. We often refer to this person as our inner critic. I asked this question, inner critic, why do I so infrequently think I am capable of what I am about to do? And my inner critic answered, well, because you're an idiot. You're a fraud. You have no idea what you're doing. Of course you're going to mess up. And Josh, before you get out there and speak, remember these inspirational words from Mark Twain. It is better to let people think you are dumb than to speak and remove all doubt. So you can see what the problem is right there. It's seeking advice from the inner critic. Do you ever do that? And here's the thing about the inner critic. For 98% of us, I'll qualify it in a moment, our inner critic is completely irrelevant. There is nothing relevant about your inner critic. Your inner critic is not relevant, it's relic. It's relic. If they released the James Webb telescope into your own psyche, it would see the inner critic as this dead planet from eons and eons ago. Do you know why this is? And this is why I say for 98% of ourselves. The inner critic means well. Its job is to protect you. And it thinks, if I can keep you from expressing the truth of who you are, the authenticity of who you are, the possibility of who you are, then you'll be safe and comfortable. So I will do everything to scare the hell out of you so you don't be who you are. The truth is, most of us have overcome that. We've put ourselves forward. We've thrown ourselves into the arena of life. We seek our best to be transparent, open, honest people. And this relic called an inner critic is pretending to act like we haven't done that already. So the answer to the question, why do I so infrequently think I am capable of that which I am about to do, is because I have not honored the voice of my becoming. I have not taken enough time to give voice to that part of me whose job is not to protect myself from expressing, but now that I've expressed myself, is called to protect him, to support him, to listen to him, to help guide him. Do you have that voice in your life? Can you consult not the inner critic, but your highest self that knows the truth of who you are, that knows how courageous you are, and gets how darn capable you are for anything that is before you to do? So that's where my work was, and maybe your work too, to give voice to that part of yourself that supports you in the fullness of your becoming and not the relic of your past. That voice that supports you in the wholeness of your becoming and not in the relic of the past. A few things we can do to give that voice, to articulate that voice. One, write it down. Journal that voice. Journal not in the sense of today I went to the supermarket and I saw such that sense of speaking your word for your higher self, knowing your capability, knowing that extraordinary that is encoded within you, giving yourself that supportive language. Give your highest self a voice so that it can echo in your life. Second, actually celebrate that thing you thought you were incapable of doing that you just did very well. Recognize it, honor it, celebrate it. See your own track record in your success and begin to believe in it. Third, scourge perfection from your life. Throw it out. Hit it over the head with a shovel. Be done with the image or idea that you need to be a perfect person. It is damaging and unhealthy and toxic. Do not try to be the perfect person, the perfect partner, the perfect parent, the perfect child, the perfect whatever it is, because giving 100% to being more than one thing is humanly impossible. It will burn and wear us out. 60% of you is okay. You're already extraordinary. So as opposed to trying to put all of ourselves in everything, let's honor what we have through good preparation and do the best we can every day and then the next day as well. It can change everything in your life, and that sense of perfection created by the inner critic again becomes relic. And who we are today and the voice we speak now in support of our becoming becomes relevant and the dominant voice in our lives. Lastly, our topic today, trust the moment. Trust in this moment. If you and I can learn to trust in this moment, all of the energy that we put into worrying and self-doubt and an epidemic within ourselves of distrust gets put into the faith of right here and right now and puts us in touch with a creative momentum that can move us forward into our greater and greater becoming. I wonder if you can think about the most challenging decision you've ever had to make in your life. What was the biggest decision you ever had to make? And before I go into that, I want to say something about trust. And that is that it's so important in everyday life to realize that trust is fluid, that trust isn't fixed. You can have strong trust in something, but as long as you're in relationship with yourself, with life, with a person, it's fluid. And things sometimes can get broken. But true faith is rebuilding that trust. And one of the biggest areas where this comes up for us in our lives is when we're faced with a new choice, when we're faced with this thing called opportunity. It should, by definition, pause us from trust and create kind of a healthy distrust. Distrust isn't a negative thing unless you set up camp and live there forever. The idea is when an opportunity comes forward, we want to move into a place of healthy discernment as opposed to in a place of control. Healthy discernment helps us get back to trust. Control says, I can't trust here, and I'm either going to go into a state of freaked out procrastination or into aggressive control. And I'm going to, in one of those two states, make terrible mistakes and inhibit myself. When I think of the biggest decision that I have ever made, it was to become a minister here at Mile High Church. That was the most challenging decision I ever had to make. Life was very dialed in and almost fairy tale-like for me in Seal Beach, California. I loved my congregation there. I loved my family. My biological family lived close by. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Lived by the beach. Got to come and speak here to you at Mile High Church. I had a feeling that Dr. Roger might be offering me a position. And then I remember talking to my fiance the night after I spoke, saying it just doesn't feel right. The connection's not really there. So when Roger offers me the ministry of janitorial services tomorrow, I'm going to say no thank you and gladly go back to everyday life. And that's not what happened. We had breakfast the next morning, and he shared quite powerfully for me his vision of his retirement and his vision for a lead minister at Mile High Church, and that he could see me potentially being it. I walked away from that discussion, went back to my hotel room, and I cried my eyes out. I bawled and bawled and bawled, not because of the opportunity to come to Mile High Church, but I knew my life as I knew it in that moment was over. That little fairy tale, comfortable existence was done. And that's what those tears were about. Have you ever had that moment when you've been shown or it's revealed to you that what is about to become what was? And can you have the courage to step into what is becoming? I like to think that when we're faced with an opportunity, there are 4 distinct choices that we can make. The first 2 are very obvious, yes and no. Yes, here's this opportunity, I'm going to step into it and I'm going to take it. Great. No, this opportunity is not for me, I'm going to say no to it. I believe that no is best used not as a negation, but as an affirmation. So when you say no to something, know what you're saying yes to. It's a very creative practice. I'm saying no to eating this cookie, not because I don't want the cookie. Trust me, I really want the cookie. But I'm saying yes to my physical health and well-being. This relationship, there may be nothing wrong with it, but I'm saying no to it because I'm saying yes to a different experience. It helps that affirmative no guide you to what you want. But there are 2 other choices that we tell ourselves often are not choosing, but they're choices too. The first and the most dangerous is inaction. Inaction is unconsciously not choosing, which itself is a choice. It's grounded in procrastination, in worry and fear, and it's guided by the inner critic that holds us back from being our courageous light and self in the world. The other side of inaction is what we might call non-action. Non-action is a conscious choice not to choose yet, but to choose to trust in this moment. Non-action is trusting in this moment and choosing not to make a decision, but to embody your virtues in face of the decision. Inaction hides from making a choice. Non-action gets right into confronting the choice, but holds back a decision to embody virtue and strength. So many of us have found this in raising kids. Have you had that experience, especially when they get older, where you're questioning, where do I push and where do I yield? And I've almost always learned, and sometimes you have to push and it's going to be a mistake, but that never worked towards getting what I wanted for my child. Ultimately, what would work is to plant seeds and then hold back and yield and trust. And then it's amazing when it kicks in. And then the child gets to say, look, I did that all by myself, right? In our Adventures in Faith materials on the website, and there's some in the lobby too, there's a worksheet about making decisions, about those opportunities that come up in our lives. And it's pretty simple. You just write on the top the opportunity, and then in the 4 quadrants, you have yes, no, non-action, and inaction. And in those, you write what the consequence would be of that decision, positive or negative. When I was invited to be a minister here at Mile High Church, my first answer was a resounding no. No way. I am so happy where I am. It's so dialed in. But I had to look at giving that no as the final choice, and I had to ask myself, what are the consequences? Consequence number 1, you'll regret it for the rest of your life, saying no. Consequence 2, denial of the call. Josh, when you became a minister, you said to the divine, my calling is to spread this message to as many people as I can through whatever medium is offered to me. Well, look. So to say no was to refuse the call. So I knew I couldn't say no, so I did the next best step, which is I moved into total inaction. Dr. Roger who? Mile High what? Just ignoring all of those things. And this worked for a while, but eventually I had to see what the consequences of inaction were. And ultimately, it meant being out of integrity and out of congruence with who I really am. See, what I've learned about inaction in my life, and maybe you have too, is my biggest mistakes in life have never been about saying yes or no to anything. There are those choices of inaction. Not speaking up for myself or for someone else, not doing the courageous thing, has led to the majority of negative consequences that I've experienced in my life. So inaction wasn't going to work either. Thank God for non-action. I don't know what I do. I don't know what to do. I have a little saying I developed at the time. I don't know where I'm going, but I think I know how to get there. That's something that non-action teaches us, because it teaches us to trust in this moment and to embody our virtues. For me, that meant honesty. It meant beginning to speak to people back home and hear about the possibility of this big change in my life. It meant embodying love and purpose and calling, because if I was going to say yes, I was going to have to get back aligned with my purpose. And it also meant trust in knowing that it might not work out. And that was actually the most important thing for me that moved me into yes, and why you see me standing before you here today. I had to get the yes right. The yes was never going to be, oh, you're going to go to Mile High Church, be the lead minister, and be super successful, because that was no one's choice for me to be that, but yours. The yes was to become a minister at Mile High Church, which in a way felt like a step down. But what the message was for me is, whether or not this works out for you or not, it will either be just that, or it will be a stepping stone into your next highest and best. And it was only when I clarified that yes that I realized that the consequence was only one thing, and that is my highest and best good. When we're faced with opportunities, give yourself that time to explore all the different choices before you and do the best to ensure the best consequence or result possible. That being said, a few things about trusting in the moment before we close today. You have total control as an adult of your choices, but you have zero control over the consequences of those choices. That's a difficult thing to accept, but I have found in my experience that it's true. That I have always a say in what I choose, but I never have a say in what the results may be. Therefore, don't go meddling with the results. Get back to choice. Even if I think I've made the wrong decision, it's not a time to try and change that decision, but to make a new choice. I love something that General George Marshall said at the height of World War II. He was the chief of staff of the military. He said, "I've had to train myself never to worry about a decision once it's made. You worry before you make it, but not after. You make the best judgment you can about a problem, then forget it. If you don't, your mind is not fit to make the next decision." A consequence may inspire you to make a new choice, but don't get drowned in the consequence. Always focus on that new choice by trusting in the moment and having that new start right here and right now. Point number 2, even if things go off the rails, you're still on the right track. Even if things go off the rails, you're still on the right track. How can that be true? Because of that extraordinary that is within you. Sometimes we find in life that things need to fall apart before they get better. Sometimes we find in life that something on the surface level of our consciousness that isn't what we want is actually in service to a deeper desire within ourselves that's coming about. A deeper prayer to understand love and living and applying our purpose. The only way to truly get off track is to lose your center. But if we can trust in the moment, no matter what seems to be going off the rails, we're getting back in line with the truth of who we are. I love a poem from Rainer Maria Rilke that goes like this. Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. Let this darkness be a bell tower and you the bell. As you ring, what batters you becomes your strength. Move back and forth into the change. What is it like, such intensity of pain? If the drink is bitter, turn yourself to wine. In this uncontainable night, be the mystery at the crossroads of your senses, the meaning discovered there. And if the world has ceased to hear you, say to the silent earth, I flow. To the rushing water, speak, I am. Lastly, recognize that trust is variable. Trust is variable. In other words, it's breakable, but it's always rebuildable. The whole science of mind and spirit is based on the concept that the universe is for you and not against you. It's this incredible, audacious notion that the nature of the universe and the world is for good, is towards freedom, is towards liberation, understanding, and love. And the only thing that often gets in the way of that good, that freedom, that liberation and well-being making itself known in our lives is our own consciousness. We like to say the universe is for you and not against you. And what else does that mean? It means that everything in it is for you and not against you as well. Powerful notion. My mind is for me and not against me. My body is for me and not against me. My relationships are for me and not against me. My job is for me and not against me. And yet we all know with these relationships, all the way down to our relationship with this thing called life, sometimes things happen that don't feel like that. This doesn't look like my good. This doesn't feel very good to me. It's then that we can get in an honest and sincere distrust. But real trust in this moment is that willingness to rebuild it. Universe, this is what it would take to rebuild trust in you again. God, this is what it would take to rebuild trust in you again. In our relationships, within ourselves, mind, this is what it would take. Body, this is what it would take. Life is relational and trust is variable. But those of us who will succeed most in becoming the truth of who we are will always seek to build that trust. Moving into prayer this morning, I invite any of our incredible practitioner prayer partners to stand and join me. And just making a conscious choice to trust in this moment. We simply open ourselves to what wisdom there is to be ascertained. What message of love is to be revealed? What epiphany of possibility are we called to open ourselves to? This moment puts us in a divine contradiction because it is so much greater than we are, and yet it is incomplete without us. Allowing ourselves to be fully in trust right here and right now, I simply know that there is a flow and a momentum that's seeking to make itself known in our experience, that is leading us to brighter choices, to deeper gratitude, and to a profound lovingness that allows us to choose from that place of trust that brings forth a bounty of goodness, of friendship, of harmony, of creativity, and of divine flow. Allowing this into every area of our lives, we allow that relic of the inner critic to fade and that voice of our highest self to become the dominant one in our lives, leading us with love, with wisdom, with compassion, and with the grandest care. We give thanks for this thing called life and all that it has to offer us, agreeing to bring forth all that is within us, for it needs all of that too. We let it be, we let it become, and so it is.